Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. We'll be right back to the show. But before we do, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, factormeals.com, where if you go to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50, you can get 50% off your first order. That's factormeals.com/unbroken50. If you're like me and you are a person who is busy trying to create a life, heal, work on their health, wealth, and relationships, and not to mention deal with the day-to-days of normal life, you do not have time to be going to the grocery store and trying to figure out what you're going to cook every single day of the week. In fact, one time I did the math and I realized I was spending over 15 hours a week at the grocery store and cooking. When I added Factor, I got to use that time for myself, for my family, for my friends, for my community, and for my business. And so if you're in the place where you need some more support in the kitchen, head to factormeals.com/unbroken50 and use the code unbroken50 to get 50% off. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of life coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. And I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program. Welcome to the Michael Unbroken Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Anthony. And my goal is to give you actionable and practical skills to help you understand your past, get out of the vortex, and become the hero of your own story. This podcast is sponsored by thinkunbroken.com, where you can find resources for adult survivors of child abuse. Now, let's get into the show. Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? Thank you so much to everyone, first and foremost, for listening to episode 1 and for everyone who has sent so much support around what I'm trying to do with this micro podcast, if you will. My goal with this Michael Unbroken podcast is to keep it under 10 minutes and to make sure that it's palatable for you, give you actionable things that you can take with you, whether you're walking into the office or driving in the car to pick up the kids, whatever it is. I want to leave you with something that is memorable in a way that you can put it into action immediately. I've been thinking about this concept a lot, about becoming who it is that we know we are. My therapist once told me, change happens when you become who you are. And that's very true, because for many trauma survivors, there is a lack of understanding of self. That comes naturally, that comes honestly, that comes in the fact that things were stolen from us and that we have to kind of earn them back. Maybe earn is not the right word, but there is a lesson in understanding who we are that comes through the trials, through the perseverance, through the resiliency, through the effort. And it's through that we actually become who we are. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to answer this honestly. Do you give a fuck about what other people think about you? Take a minute. Just think about it. Do you care? Do you actually care what other people think? You see, for me, I think that's one of the key components to whether or not we actually step into self-actualization. How many of us spend our day-to-day lives wondering what other people think about us? How many of us spend our time wondering what other people think about the clothes that we wear, the car that we drive, the job that we have, the partner that we have, the way that we're raising our children, the way that we exist in the world, the way that we look, the way that we smell, the music we listen to, the things that we watch on television, the way we sleep at night, what we eat for breakfast, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But do you really care? And if you do, why do you care? What is it about other people's opinions that matter so much to you that it impacts your life on a daily basis? Why do you give a fuck? And I think that's a question that's really important to ask yourself, because we have to come to understand that when we put our, call it self-esteem, call it worth, call it resiliency on other people's shoulders, that takes away from who we are inside. We do ourselves a grave injustice every time we look to outside sources for any sort of companionship or love or care when we don't start with us first. And not giving a fuck isn't about not caring about what the people around you say, the people around you, what they mean to you, and especially the people that you love and care about. Like, that is important. When someone interjects and goes, "Hey, Michael, you know what? You're being a real dick today." Maybe you need to reflect on that a little bit. I was listening to a podcast with Whitney Cummings recently, and she said that someone told her, if you meet two assholes in a day, then you're probably the asshole. And I thought that was really fascinating, because so often our inward thoughts of self reflect outward and they impact people as well. But we also get impacted by those people. And when we get impacted by those people, we tend to carry that throughout our day, through our week, through our month, through our year. Sometimes a little thing that someone says to you, "Oh, I don't like the way you look in that shirt," or "Oh, those shoes look really cheap," or things that don't matter stick with us. And so how do you not give a fuck? How do you step outside of what other people think about you and the way that they impact you? And again, this is not to say that you should not value the opinion of the people closest to you, because you absolutely should. But at the end of the day, it is your responsibility to take care of yourself first and foremost. So the $1 million question, how do you not give a fuck? Starts with step one, and that is self-love. Self-love is such an important facet of this process and the healing journey, because we are reconnecting ourselves to ourself. Many trauma survivors become dissociated, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. But the reality is, you have to be able to get back to a place where you are okay and comfortable living in your own skin. And how do you do that? How do you practice self-love? I think there's a myriad of ways that you can do that, and the list is exhausting, but I'll give you a few examples of what I do. Every day when I wake up, I first have gratitude that I'm even alive. I should be dead 4 times over now, but I'm not. And you're not either. And if you're listening to this right now, that means you are alive. So already, step one, you're already in the process. Show a little gratitude for yourself for existing, right? The way that we talk to ourselves becomes very much who we are. So I start my day with a little bit of gratitude. What do I do from there? Well, I think the second thing is, how do we talk to ourselves, right? We are the stories that we tell ourselves. I've read an amazing book, which I recommend, and I don't recommend a lot of books, so go and buy this book if you're listening. If you are struggling with the way that you talk to yourself, with the way that you perceive yourself in the world, there's a book called Radical Acceptance by Tara Brach. And this is one of the most important books I've ever read, because ultimately what it helps you delineate is, why do you talk to yourself in ways that you would never allow another human being to talk to you? I was such an awful person to myself. So of course, if I'm mean to myself, I'm going to always care what other people think about me. I'm not good enough, smart enough, handsome enough, fit enough, tall enough, right? What is your enough? Because you have to answer that for yourself. If your worth is placed on someone else, then you're always going to care what they think. I mean, even your partners, even your children, your best friends, if you care about what they think about stuff that does not and should not matter or concern them, then you are already behind the 8 ball, my friend. So you need to adjust the way that you talk to yourself. And there's a very simple practice, and I want you to implement this starting right now. I challenge you. Whenever, for the rest of the day, the week, the month, that you say something negative about yourself, I want you to stop that process and say something positive. For example, I'm not good enough. Okay, that's an easy one. That's low-hanging fruit. We all have that, right? But what can you say? I am good enough. I'm strong enough. I'm handsome enough. I'm beautiful enough. I'm tall enough. I'm short enough. I'm whatever enough. You have to decide what enough means. And when you decide that, you stop caring what other people think. And I think the third part of this, which is probably the most important, and becoming comfortable in your skin, is just giving yourself the space to be who you are. Right? We are all a little quirky, a little weird, a little creepy, a little amazing, a little grandiose, a little far-fetched. We're all of these things. That's just the nature of being a human being. We are made up of a collection of all of our experiences that lead up to right now. But if you're not giving yourself the space to simply exist, you're always going to care. I remember when I was in 6th grade, I sat at the cool kids table one time. This was literally the only time this ever happened. And the kids started talking about classic rock music, bands like The Doors and Fleetwood Mac and Morrison. And I remember mentioning that I loved all of those bands, but I had no idea who any of them were. And I got called out because I wasn't being true to myself. They called me out hard, and it was super embarrassing because it was the first time that I ever got to sit with these cool kids. And when you're young, like, you crave that attention. What I figured out from that moment was I am the cool kid, and I don't have to portray myself to be someone else to fit in with this other group, because your community, they will find you. But the only way that happens, and the only way that you're around people who don't give a fuck about the things that don't matter in your life, is when you have complete ownership of who you are. So not giving a fuck is about loving yourself. Not giving a fuck is about surrounding yourself with people who are in line with who you are. Not giving a fuck is about becoming comfortable in your own skin and self-love and simply existing. So this week, just challenge yourself a little bit every single day, that every time you say something negative, have some gratitude for yourself. Show some compassion for yourself. And leverage the fact that you are an incredible human being. There's no one else in the world like you. And yes, that's hard to swallow, especially in the beginning, but every single day continue to do these practices, and you soon will find that you don't give a fuck what other people care about you, because you love yourself first. And that's all that matters. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. To find more resources, check me out on Instagram at Michael Unbroken. Download the podcast on iTunes and Spotify, and check out thinkunbroken.com. I'm about to host a new workshop series of my brand new online curriculum, and I hope I don't know where that came from, and I hope that you will check it out when I share it. And until next time, my friends, be unbroken. See ya. Hey, my friends, we will be right back to the show. But I have a question for you. Are you struggling with the impact of childhood trauma? Well, know that you're not alone. I'm here to let you know that I'm starting a brand new weekly coaching group that includes a year of live coaching, accountability, support, habit and goal setting, and more. I'm starting a waitlist for the group right now, and I'm only taking a handful of people. And I'll let you know that through this personalized coaching, we'll work together to help you understand how your childhood trauma has shaped your beliefs, behaviors, emotions, and will help you create a roadmap for healing and growth. Right now, you can schedule an absolutely free coaching session with me and get put on the wait list if you go to thinkunbroken.com. My friends, it's your time to turn your trauma into triumph, breakdowns into breakthroughs, and become the hero of your own story. and I'm here to support you in doing that. Just go to thinkunbroken.com to register for a free coaching call with me and to get put on the wait list for the brand new weekly coaching program.